Since there is fullness of joy at his right hand, churches forevermore. Oh, what fellowship divine, I am his and he is mine. In the presence of the Lord, there's fullness of joy. Good morning, guys. Good morning. Welcome into the live. This is Trev from Trevessence, and this morning we are going to continue the reading of the Bible. We are currently at the book of Deuteronomy, and for those of you who are new here, a very special welcome to you. If you are not sure what is going on here, on my channel, we are trying to go through the Bible chapter by chapter. Why are we doing this? We know that the Bible has an influence on every aspect of our lives, and so we think that it is imperative that we not only hear from other people what is in the Bible, but that we know for ourselves what is in the Bible, the context of what is in the Bible, what is being spoken, to whom it was being spoken, and why. And so we have decided to go on this journey together where we are reading the Bible for ourselves. We are no theologians, but we are lay people trying to understand this book that has so much influence on every aspect of our lives. So if you are into knowing about the Bible and what it really says, you are welcome to join me. We will do this as many mornings as possible until we are finished with the entire book. And don't forget, on Thursdays, we come together on a Thursday evening to do Swords in Hand / Bible Trivia, where we go over the chapters that we read the week prior. If you are a returning traveler, I want to say thank you for your continued support. Now, if you have your book Bible or your Google Bible with you, you may read along. And if there is something that you understand better, something that you have read about, something that you know of, you are welcome to share it with us. We are always open to learning new information. Now let us begin with Deuteronomy chapter 5. And Moses called all Israel, and said unto them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments which I speak in your ears this day, that ye may learn them, and keep and do them. The Lord our God made a covenant with us in Horeb. The Lord made not this covenant with our fathers, but with us, even us, who are all of us here alive this day. The Lord talked with us face to face in the mount out of the midst of the fire. I stood between the Lord and you at that time, to show you the word of the Lord. For ye were afraid by reason of the fire, and went not up into the mount, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage. Thou shalt have none other gods before me. Thou shalt not make thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters beneath the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself unto them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and shewing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold them guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Keep the Sabbath day to sanctify it, as the Lord thy God hath commanded thee. 6 days thou shalt labor, and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thine ox, nor thine ass, nor any of thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates, that thy manservant and thy maidservants may rest as well as thou. And remember that thou wast a servant in the land of Egypt, and that the Lord thy God brought thee out thence through a mighty hand and by a stretched out arm. Therefore the Lord thy God commanded thee to keep the Sabbath day. Honor thy father and thy mother, as the Lord thy God hath commanded thee, that thy days may be prolonged, and that it may go well with thee in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, neither shalt thou commit adultery, neither shalt thou steal, neither shalt thou bear false witness against thy neighbor, neither shalt thou desire thy neighbor's wife, neither shalt thou covet thy neighbor's house, his field, or his manservant, or his maidservant, his ox, or his ass, or anything that is thy neighbor's. These words the Lord spake unto all your assembly in the mount out of the midst of the fire, of the cloud, and of the thick darkness, with a great voice, and he added no more. And he wrote them in 2 tablets of stone, and delivered them unto me. And it came to pass, when he heard the voice out of the midst of the darkness, for the mountain did burn with fire, that he came near unto me, even all the heads of your tribes, and your elders. And he said, Behold, the Lord our God hath shewed us his glory and his greatness, and we have heard his voice out of the midst of the fire. We have seen this day that God doth talk with man, and he liveth. Verse 25. Now therefore, why should we die? For this great fire will consume us, if we hear the voice of the Lord our God any more, then we shall die. For who is there of all flesh that has heard the voice of the living God speaking out of the midst of the fire, as we have, and lived? Go thou near, and hear all that the Lord our God shall say, and speak thou unto us all that the Lord our God shall speak unto thee, and we will hear it, and do it. And the Lord heard the voice of your words, when ye spake unto me. And the Lord said unto me, I have heard the voice of the words of this people, which they have spoken unto thee. They have well said all that they have spoken. Oh, that there were such a heart in them, that they would fear me, and keep all my commandments always, that it might be well with them, and with their children forever. Go say to them, Get you into your tents again. But as for thee, stand thou here by me, and I will speak unto thee all the commandments, and the statutes, and the judgments, which thou shalt teach them, and they may do them in the land which I give them to possess it. He shall observe to do therefore as the Lord your God hath commanded you. Ye shall not turn aside to the right hand or to the left. Verse 33 and last of the chapter, Deuteronomy chapter 5. Ye shall walk in all the ways which the Lord your God hath commanded you, that ye may live, and that it may be well with you, and that ye may prolong your days in the land which ye shall possess. So there, guys, was the instruction, those commandments where the Lord was telling Moses, these are the instructions I'm giving you. This is how you all are going to live in the land which I'm giving you. And that land, the land of Canaan, remember that Moses is now up on Mount Pisgah, where the Lord told him, go up on Mount Pisgah, look to your left, look to your right, look east, west, north, and south. You will see the land all the way across the River Jordan. That is the land that I'm giving all these people to inhabit. You won't get there though. And that is why he was told to teach Joshua his ways, so that Joshua would lead the people over there. And this is where they are repeating the commandments, because remember, the Lord had given Moses the commandments already on the tablets since they were back in Horeb. And now he's reminding him that this is what I said. These are the commandments that I gave you for your people to keep when they got there to the promised land. And don't you ever forget that this is me. I am the same person who brought you all out of Egypt. I am the same person who spoke to you through the fire and brought you through that wilderness. And I'm the same person. In case he might have doubts, because remember, along the way, they had a lot of doubts and they had been punished repeatedly for having doubted the journey, for having doubted the process. At one point, they were willing to go back across the Red Sea because they thought going through this wilderness and eating manna all the time and, being led by a ball of fire at night and clouds by day, just walking through this wilderness, at sometimes they really felt like, what in the world? Are we crazy following Moses through this wilderness? And so they were upset, as humans would be. They had left the comforts of their homes and now they were dwelling in tents and exposed to the elements, and they couldn't plant their crops and they had to be constantly on the move. And each time that they expressed concern, they were punished for having doubts. And so now they had reached this point where they had seen so much punishment and so much death, because that was how they were punished. Yeah. And so they were determined to go over. And Moses was determined to ensure that they went over the River Jordan to the promised land. And so as the Lord was reminding him, it was his duty to remind them of where they had come from and what the objective was, where they were heading. Now we are going to move on. Oh, hold on a second. Let me see. Michael. Michael, good morning. Michael say I'm new here. Michael, good morning to you, my love. How are you doing? So good to see you, my brother. And there is my dear darling Joe. How are you doing, Joe? Overton is in the place. How are you doing, Overton? Blessings to you all. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you all so much for coming. Thank you so much for joining us. It is my absolute pleasure sitting here and reading for you the Holy Book, so we can all go through it together and learn what it says together. Michael, I saw your convocation last night. Michael, you're not easy, you know. Oh, boy. We are going to continue, my friends, with chapter 6 of the book of Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy chapter 6. Now these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments which the Lord your God commanded to teach you, that ye might do them in the land whither ye go to possess it, that thou mightest fear the Lord thy God, to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I commanded thee, thou and thy son, and thy son's son, all the days of thy life, and that thy days may be prolonged. Hear therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with thee, and that he may increase mightily, as the Lord God of thy fathers hath promised thee, in the land that floweth with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord, and thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thy house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. And thou shalt write them upon the post of thy house, and on thy gates, and it shall be, when the Lord thy God shall have brought thee into the land which he sware unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give thee great and godly cities, which thou buildest not, and houses full of all good things, which thou filest not, and wells dig, which thou diggest not, vineyards and olive trees, which thou plantest not, when thou shalt have eaten and be full. Welcome, Cad. How are you doing, my sister? Good to see you. Now we are on to verse 12 of chapter 6 of Deuteronomy, that is, of course. Then beware lest thou forget the Lord, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage. Thou shalt fear the Lord thy God, and serve him, and shalt swear by his name. Ye shall not go after other gods of the people which are round about you. For the Lord thy God is a jealous God among you, lest the anger of the Lord thy God be kindled against thee, and destroy thee from off the face of the earth. He shall not tempt the Lord your God as he tempted him in Massah. He shall diligently keep the commandments of the Lord your God, and his testimonies, and his statutes, which he hath commanded thee. And thou shalt do that which is right and good in the sight of the Lord, that it may be well with thee, and that thou mayest go in and possess the good land which the Lord sware unto thy fathers, to cast out all thine enemies from before thee, as the Lord hath spoken. And when thy son asketh thee in time to come, saying, What mean the testimonies, and the statutes, and the judgments, which the Lord our God hath commanded you? Then thou shalt say unto thy son, We were Pharaoh's bonded in Egypt, and the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand, and the Lord shewed signs and wonders, great and sore, upon Egypt, upon Pharaoh, and upon all his household, before our eyes. And he brought us out from thence, that he might bring us in, to give us the land which he sware unto our fathers. And the Lord commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear the Lord our God, for our good always, that he might preserve us alive as it is at this day. And verse 25 and last, and it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before the Lord our God, as he hath commanded us. That's the end of Deuteronomy chapter 6. And here in Deuteronomy chapter 6, there is the continuation of chapter 5, where the children of Israel are being told the expectations of them, their sons and daughters, everybody in their household, even if you are a stranger in their household, that you must keep these statutes. For as long as you live, you must teach them to your children and your children's children, and so it will continue throughout their generations. All of these statutes that Moses was being told to give to the children of Israel. Kad, welcome into the house, Kad. Do you have anything to say about this chapter, Kad? You know you are my study buddy. There isn't much extraneous information on this one, but building from what we have learned from before, we know that Moses received the commandments on the tablets. And so as to make sure that they don't forget what they were told, here again, they're being reminded of what it said about thou shalt not kill, neither shalt thou commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, etc., etc. The 10 commandments that were given to Moses to give to the children of Israel. And I've had this conversation before where people say, oh, the commandments were given to the children of Israel. They don't apply to us now. And most of this is self-explanatory. Yes, most of this is self-explanatory. I agree with you, Kad. Yeah, but I was saying that I've had conversation, people say the 10 commandments was given to Moses for the children of Israel. It does not apply to us now. And to that I say, let us sit at the table of reason and look at the 10 commandments. Let us read them and try to understand what they say. And you tell me, in all honesty, in all fairness, if there is anything here that if not applied to us today, would make our life better. That has always been my question. Is there anything in the 10 commandments that, if not applied to us today, would make our life better? Not one thing. That means everything that is in the commandment could be used quite relevantly in our lives today. It would not harm us one bit. In fact, it would indeed make our lives better. Who wants to walk around and, seeing other people getting slain? If we should abolish that and say, we don't want to hear nothing about thou shalt not kill. Can you imagine? Can you imagine how everybody would just see slaying another person as just an ordinary act that can be performed any day of the week? You can just go ahead and slay somebody because they make you mad over something stupid. The other day I covered an article where the guy didn't open the door. Kat and I were talking about that yesterday. Some nonsense The guy opened the door, both of them going in the gas station. One guy held the door for the other, and the other did not say thank you. And that brought on an argument where one ended up shooting and killing the other over something that silly. So can you imagine if we should say, oh, we're not going to pay attention to that, say thou shalt not kill. Anybody can just slay anybody. Can you imagine the world we would live in if there was no consequences for that kind of behavior? Let's talk about honoring your father and your mother. What's so wrong with that? Wouldn't you want to honor the people who brought you into this world? God says, Matthew chapter 22, verse 37 to 40, if we keep these two commandments, we will not break any of the others. Okay, we are going to get to that one. But can you imagine, guys, if everybody determines that, well, that don't concern me. I am not going to honor my father or my mother. I am just going to, they had me, I didn't ask them to come here. I saw that trending on the internet and I thought, well, where people are saying, oh, they didn't ask their parents to come here. Their parents are the ones who brought them here without their permission and all of this nonsense. So they don't owe their parents anything. Their parents owe them. People come up, and that is the beauty of the brain, where you can come up with all kinds of ideas, but it's what you do with them. Imagine a world where nobody honored their mother, nobody honored their father, nobody honored their parents. Everybody just live. Your parents have you, they raise you, you abandon them, you go about your business, they get old, they need help, and you say, well, that's their problem. No respect, no honor. You imagine how many parents would be going on their knees and praying for those children. Just praying that karma will get you for dishonoring your parents. So guys, even if you don't want to believe in the Bible or you don't want to believe in any religion, nobody says you have to. But if you're going to tell me that, well, the commandments was just for the children of Israel. Yes, it was given to them. But like lots of other things that were spoken about long time ago, all other inventions that were invented long time ago, we weren't born yet. So are we going to say those things weren't invented for us? We weren't born when electricity was invented. Are we going to say, well, electricity wasn't invented for us because we weren't born then? Are we going to say, other inventions weren't invented for us because we weren't born then? No, so we have to approach stuff with logic. And say, well, of course, it makes sense. It does make sense. Because there can be no house without law, without order. If you go in a courtroom, there's order. You go to your job, there's law and order. You go in your own home, you establish law and order. Wherever you go. Every country have their own laws. Every state have their own laws. So there has to be law and order established. And since these were the times from the beginning of time, this was the establishment of law and order from then. And I don't see anything here that would make our lives better if we abandon them. Or make our lives worse if we accepted them. Makeup Mom and Son is here. Welcome, my sister. How are you doing? So good to see you. Guys, if you're not connected with Makeup Mom and Son, please go connect with Makeup Mom and Son. Yes, nice little channel they have going on over there. Yes, very, very supportive. So you can go on over and connect as well, because we know over here we are all for each other. We are all for each other. We are supporting each other because each one help one. We are all going to grow together. All right. I'm still here listening while getting ready for work. Okay, Michael, getting ready for work. Okay, Michael, I hope you have a fabulous day. Hope you have a fantastic day. And stay safe, my friends. Because down there in the bay, they are getting really, really out of hand down there. So you be safe, my friend. All right. So, guys, this is going to be it from me for this morning. For those of you who are just coming into the live, welcome. Thank you for coming. This is where we are going to end it this morning. Do not forget that tomorrow afternoon, we'll be doing Swords in Hand / Bible Trivia. And the trivia is going to be from the book of Deuteronomy, chapters 1 through 6. So if you have not yet read it, please go ahead and read it yourself or listen to the readings that we have done over the last few days, so that you will have the information for the Swords in Hand / Bible Trivia tomorrow. Once again, thank you all for coming in this morning. To Cad and Michael and Joseph and Everton and Makeup Mom and Son and everybody else who stopped by. Don't forget, guys, if you didn't hit the like button on your way in, please do so on your way out. Once again, thanks so much for joining me this morning. Join me again tomorrow morning when we will be doing another 2 chapters from the book of Deuteronomy. Until next time, my friends, this is Trev from Trevessence, where your journey matters. Grant just rolling in. Welcome, Grant. I hope you have a great day, my love. Have a good day, everybody.